So it's interesting that we come to this point where both sides have had plenty of opportunity and they did nothing. And that is, again, this lack of trust of each other, but I think it's worse now than it has been ever. There's our buddy Bobby in Los Angeles. Hello, Bobby.
Yes, Tom. You know, normally when I call your show, I address myself as the greatest Tom Sullivan caller in the history of Tom Sullivan.
Well, that is, you usually do. Why aren't you doing that today?
You know, to be fair, with other programs, I normally do it like this. Hello, it is I, the greatest talk show caller in the history of talk radio. And I like to do that from now on, if that's okay with you, actually.
Look, you're an L.A. guy. I get it. You know, it's a very...
I don't really expect anything from either side, Democrat or Republican. I never understand why anyone, unless they're getting some beneficial help from them directly, would chain themselves to any political party. I've always been a Ron Paul guy, just for the record.
Yeah.
But look at Republicans. I'm going to pick on Republicans here. They had the presidency, the House, the Senate, and they did nothing to cover the borders in the Canadian or Mexican side. And this is in a post-9/11 world when some crazy guy from, Pakistan...
But so did the Dems then, after that.
But there's a difference. I'll tell you the difference here. Democrats at least have this thing, and I know you and a lot of people on the right are not going to agree with this. There is this sort of, don't raise an eyebrow, compassion for those in another country to want to come over here and make something of themselves. If you imagine you're a poor guy in Mexico and your kids are in poverty, I'm not saying everyone in Mexico is poor, but imagine you are someone poor.
But there's a lot of it,
drug cartels. How can people who are conservative, who claim to be God-fearing people, as I am a God-fearing person myself, how can they say, I don't want them in the country, keep them out here, let's round up 11 million people and deport them?
Because they put higher than that, they put the moral authority of we are a nation of laws. I'm trying to give you an answer, but I mean, I understand, and I think there is a real divide, because if I was some poor Mexican, I'd be on the next, whatever train to the U.S. too. I don't blame these people for wanting to come here. What I blame is we don't enforce our borders. So it gets down to more of a fundamental question, Bobby, is are you for open borders? And if you are, great. If you're not, then let's do something about it.
Okay, but then when you say they put the nation of laws as a higher authority over morals, first of all, I think that's wrong. I think God and morals should go over nation. But be that as it may, not everyone believes in God. Some people are atheists. Why does the point go to the Mexican border when real terrorism can probably come from Canada, since I don't mean to pick on Middle Eastern people, but there are a lot of Middle Eastern extremists I would assume so more in Canada compared to Mexico?
Yeah, but the reason why is it's real simple. There's the numbers. They're in a stack here of stuff. I'll tell you, there's a great place to go. The Migration Policy Institute, and they have a ton of data about who's here, who's coming in, how many are in each state. A lot of data about just who are the people that are here, and they've got the majority. Mexico accounts for 58% of all unauthorized immigrants, followed by Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and then China.
I want to establish, I don't mean to pick on Middle Eastern people or Mexican people or anyone, but think about this. If the majority of people from each state are from Mexico, Guatemala, and all these other Latin countries or Hispanic countries, how many of the same people who complain about that have had a house where they wanted some cheap work done for their carpet, their plumbing, their housing, or whatever, and they hire them?
I had a guy call here, I forget where he was from, who was some small businessman, and he was outraged about illegals being here, except for the guy that worked for him.
And by the way, they're hard workers. I don't know if they're not, but they're
being abused too. Anyway, Bobby, thanks.